Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. I am your host, Jen Sugarmeyer, and this is Mindset in the Morning. And we are here live 5 days a week at 6 a.m. Central Standard Time. But because this is YouTube, you can tune in whenever you would like. And the reason we talk about mindset in the morning is because it's like practicing before the game. You are in the game of life every single day, and there are always new plays that are going to be thrown at you. And so when we are able to practice ahead of time, then we can bob and weave when the ball comes at us or when we're about to make a move. We know how to navigate throughout life just by exercising our mental muscle. And there's this holy trinity of health, and that's mind, body, soul. And we know that we're to take care of our physical bodies, and we know that we're supposed to take care of our soul. But what are we doing for our mind? In fact, this society, from what I found, is that the society gets a little uncomfortable talking about the mind because it's this admittance to being crazy, but that's absolutely not what it is. You have mental health. I have mental health, just like you have physical health and I have physical health. So we need to normalize what it means to use the 6 inches in between your ears and how to use that to navigate life. It shouldn't be this conversation we get uncomfortable about because it's what we use every single day. So let's just talk about it, and not in a woo-woo way, but in a way that makes sense. And that's what we do here on the show. It's just a real conversation between you and me. And all this red, look at all this red. I was feeling really red today. Red is such a power color. And I thought this was so good for our topic today. We're going to be talking about regret. How many of us have regret from time to time? Yeah, we all do. So we're going to talk about 5 ways to get over regret. And I feel like this is the week of 5. So we talked about, what did we talk about? 5 ways to get motivated when you're just not. We talked about 5 ways to trust yourself. And today we're going to talk about 5 ways to get over regret, because it's a real thing. So before we get started, if you've not yet hit that like button, if you've not yet hit that subscribe button, do that now, if you will, because this is great for us to hear, but we also want other people to hear as well. And the way the algorithm works on YouTube, I don't make it, I just follow the rules, is to have those likes and subscribes. And that helps to boost this up on the algorithm so that other people can see this. And this may be a topic that somebody really needs to hear today. So you inadvertently, just by hitting that subscribe button, hitting that like button, are able to help other people just by that simple action. So go ahead and do that now, and let's get rolling. All right, regret. How many of us have done something that we think, oh my gosh, did I just do that? And maybe you don't even know that day. Maybe it takes you the next day and you hear it from other people, or you remember when you wake up because maybe you were drinking the night before, or maybe you just didn't realize the impact it was going to have, and people told you, and then you thought, oh my gosh, I totally regret doing that because I didn't know it was going to have that impact. And so when we have this feeling of regret, this is what I call a state of suffering. And if you tune into the show enough, you have heard me, and we'll go ahead and do it. We'll go through these really quickly. Suffering is a state that none of us want to be in. So regret is a state of suffering. So suffering is fear, frustration, anger, resentment, stress, anxiety, boredom, embarrassment. Yeah. Regret. These are all areas, and there are more, but anything that doesn't make you feel good. If you asked yourself, man, should I feel happy or should I feel some regret? Which one's better for me? I don't think you're going to pick regret, truthfully. So where do we want to be? And that's peace, clarity, happiness. We want to be in a state of flow where we just don't feel like this heavy weight, this heavy burden of life. And the truth is, that's what life is. So when we talk about you getting ready for the game, That's the heaviness that can come at any time. All you have to do is go drive somewhere and it can get heavy. Why? Because there are bad drivers on the road and they really suck and they can drag down your day because you get so angry at them. But anger is a state of suffering because that's not where you would want to be. So, as long as we know how to navigate those feelings, then we're able to be in this beautiful state without all of these negative feelings. We can stay in that happiness, that peace, and that clarity. So when we have that feeling of regret, it is not something that we want to stay in. I don't know, maybe you do, but I have yet to meet someone who says, yeah, that's a good place for me to be. So here's 5 ways that we can get through it, that we can get through it. And let's first say, if you are feeling regret, this is such a normal feeling. All feelings are normal feelings. And so what we don't want to do is just shove it under the rug. Because when we do, it's like having a little bit of fire and putting a blanket over it. What happens if you put a little bit of fire under a blanket? The blanket's going to burn up at some point. It might not be immediately, but it sits there. And what do we do when we have some regret? We think about it and then oh man, I just don't want to think about it. You can even see it on people's face. They're like, oh, geez. Okay. Yeah, I didn't. Oof. All right, I'll get through. Oh yeah, I'm thinking about it again. I'm thinking about it again. That's what happens. You know what I'm talking about. It's feeling and it's thinking about this over and over and over, and it puts you into this state. And what happens internally? Your body actually is releasing different chemicals than when it's in a beautiful, happy state. So if you are just shoving this under the rug, you are continuing to put these toxins in your body, which can manifest into other things. We know that when you're in a state of suffering, when you're anxious, for example, that can cause cancer and diabetes and heart failure and ulcers and all the things. So we don't want to just shove it under the rug. So when you are feeling something, here we go. We're going to jump into these 5 things. First and foremost, we've talked about, is this a state that you want to be in, right? So I want you to ask yourself these 4 simple words, and we talk about these on the show a lot because these are my 4 favorite words to always ask yourself. Does this serve me? Does it serve me to be in this emotional state or in this state of being? Let's say that. I don't like emotional state. Sometimes people have said, oh, you're emotional. And I'm like, I'm passionate. I don't know. That's a weird word, emotional. It makes me feel like I'm on the floor crying or something. Anyway, do you want to be in this state of being? If you had a choice, would you pick to be in this state of regret? No, you wouldn't. And if you do, let me know, because I have yet to find one person, and I'd be curious to just have a conversation why you would want to stay there. It doesn't feel good when we're bruised. If you have regret, it's like having a bruise or a cut. And then anytime you think about it, it's like somebody pressing on it or putting salt in the wound. You're like, it stings. Doesn't feel good. So would you choose to be in that state of being? Does this serve me? No, it doesn't. Is it keeping you from being happy? Yes. So first, it's that acknowledgement. Is this a place that you want to be? And when you realize that it is not, that's when you get to be in the driver's seat of your life and say, hold on, then I'm going to make a different choice. But first, you have to realize that is our first step in everything. Is this where we want to be? Is it serving me to feel this way, to be this way, to act this way, to do these things, to be here, whatever? You can apply it to every situation. That is one of the most powerful 4 questions you should always be asking yourself. because it will tell you so much and you can apply it to so many things. So first and foremost, is this where you want to be? Secondly, it's acknowledging there's nothing you can do about the past. There is literally nothing you can do about what has already happened. That is a decision that you get to make. That you can either allow the past to come with you and you can just bring it with you wherever you go, or you can choose to say, hold on, you know what? We're done. We're done. There's nothing I can do about the past, but I can change the future. The past is done. And there are going to be people in your life that may bring it up. And these people don't know how to get over the past. And they will bring things up. Look, it's okay. People are human and they get stuck on these things. Yeah, I know. I did that. But there's nothing I can do about it other than change the future. So that is absolutely what you can tell people when they are trying to bring up the past and you're trying to get rid of it. Get rid of it, not shove it under the rug, but you say, hey, I'm not going to allow this to continue to follow me as I go throughout my life, because the only thing that's doing is dragging me down. And I don't want to be dragged down. I want to be free. I want to fly. That's where we all want to be. We don't want to be in a state of suffering. So, does this serve me to be here? And then you have to make the decision that what's in the past is the past. You cannot do anything to change it. And so you have to let it go. You have to let it go. And I know it's easier said than done, because we continue to think about these things. And then what happens? We get that surge of feelings. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, we're like, oof, dang it. Oh, I did that. Oh, that's so stupid. Why'd I do that? But you have to, it's a practice. It's a practice. Look, the best NFL football players don't go out on the field and not practice. They have to practice the plays over and over and over. And even still, sometimes things come in and they don't expect. But they have to practice the plays. And that's what that is. This is just practicing your life so that as regret comes in, you learn to just, nope, I'm not going to allow the past to continue on with me. So it's just practice. So I know it sounds easy, but it's not. I know it's not, but you got to practice it. All right. So you've got to acknowledge nothing you can do about the past. Here's another big one that this is one of my favorite tools in the toolbox: control. What can you control in this situation? And focus on that. Because we know, I hope that you're saying this with me. All right, say it with me. That two things happen when you try to control things that are outside of your control. One is wasted time. You're wasting your time. You can't do anything about it. It is out of your control. But it's an art to understand what you control and what you don't control. It is an art. It took me a long time to figure that out. And sometimes I still have to, I always have to think about, do I control this? Then I got to talk myself through, oh, wait, I actually don't control this. So you're wasting your energy and it's putting you in a state of suffering. So learn the difference of what you can control and what you can't control. And the things that you can, just focus on those. So yeah, you may have some regret. There may be something that you did. What can you control about the situation now, because you've let go of the past? What can you control about the situation now that will change the path going forward? Look, literally nothing can be done about the past. You've got to let it go. But going forward, yeah, there might be different directions. There might be different paths. There might be different actions that you can take. So focus on the things that you can control. When you learn the difference between what you control and what you don't control, wow, it's like 50% of all the things that you could be focused on, just go away. Just go away. And again, that's a practice. If you don't control it, you've got to learn to let it go and just say, you know what, that's outside of my control, because I know I'm going to waste time and go into suffering, but it's a practice. You've got to learn the difference. So work on that. All right. Use this as a learning tool. Okay. All right. Regret. All right. Here we go. What am I going to learn from this? Yeah. And this goes along with the control. Focus on the things that you can control. So learn from them. And you may find that what you've learned is that there are people in your space or things in your space and, that aren't necessarily in your control, but that are adding to whatever this regret is. And you can't control those people, but you can control your actions. So maybe it's somebody you were in cahoots with and they encouraged you to do something, and then you had regret over that. Well, you can't control that person, but you can control if you hang out with that person. Does that make sense? So you can't control them. Focus on you. Learn from this situation. The definition of insanity, I hope I get this right. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. Mic drop. Don't continue to do the same thing and expect a different result. If you want a different result, you got to do a different action. You got to take a different path. There's got to be a different something that happens. You can't be doing the same thing and expecting the same results. So if you don't want to have that same level of regret again, don't do the same thing. So look at what you can learn from the situation and just focus on those. Focus on the things that you can control, learn from things, and move forward. That's it. All right. Lastly, I want you to forgive yourself. Oh, weird. We get weird sometimes about having conversations with ourselves. Like maybe that's a symbol that we're cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Look, I live alone and I have a cat. So I talk to myself a lot and my cat. And I don't think that before I went on what I call my transformation, I don't think I talked to myself that much. I was very disconnected from who I was, what I was feeling, just the things that were going on in life. I just was plowing through. Just plow through. Don't acknowledge it. Don't face it. Shove it under the rug. Put all that fire under that blanket. And it was just like burning out of control. And I was like, it's fine. Don't worry about what's going on back here. Look at all my accomplishments. I was like really big on all the things that I was doing. And I just shoved everything behind there. But what was happening? Like my house was falling apart behind me. And I was like, it's fine. It was like I had duct tape all over me. I had to learn to have conversations with myself to say, hey, chick, how are you feeling today? How does this make you feel? How are you doing? And I got real. I got real with myself. And I had to have those conversations. And you know what? I had to forgive myself, because when I didn't, then that was that weight that just I kept dragging and dragging and dragging. Look, nobody, ready for this? Nobody lived a perfect life except one person on this entire earth, and that wasn't you. So the expectation is not that you're perfect. Look, that also doesn't give you a hall pass to go be a jerk. It means just learn from these things, grow from them, forgive yourself, move on. Acknowledge that you aren't perfect, but you're doing the best that you can. So all you can do is learn and grow, make amends where you can, and move forward in a different path. Don't follow that definition of insanity where you're doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results. Regret is one of these states of suffering that we can move ourselves out of. But you first got to catch it. Ask yourself, does this serve me? You've got to make that decision that there's nothing that you can do about the past. So you've got to let it go. Focus on the things that you can control. Use whatever happened as a learning tool. And when you know better, do better. And lastly, forgive yourself. So those are the 5 things that as you are, so if you're holding on to regret, or if there's something that happens today and you go, dang it, shoot, walk yourself through these 5 steps, because we don't want you to stay in a state of suffering, because that does not feel good. And it actually keeps you from getting in flow, having your peace, that beautiful life, the joy, all the things that we want. So you can't have these things and all of this in the same space. So got to get rid of this so you can have that happy, beautiful life. All right. It is Friday if you are watching this today, but I don't know when you're watching this, but that means tomorrow is Saturday and then Sunday. So do some level of self-care weekend, self-care Saturday, self-care Sunday, whether it's 5 minutes, an hour, or an entire day, or the whole weekend. Doesn't matter to me, but do something for yourself. And then let me know what you're doing for yourself. Drop a note in the comments and say, hey, this is what I'm going to do to treat myself. Or you can email me at jen.sugarmeyer@gmail.com. Let me know what you're up to and if there's a topic that you want to talk about. So I will leave you with that. Make sure you hit that like, make sure you hit that subscribe, and have a great weekend, a safe weekend. And I will see you back here on Monday. Have a great one and no regret. All right. Talk to you soon. Cheers.